Number 33 on page 172 of the book. And it's giving me a picture. And I have to write a system of linear inequalities to match the picture. So we've gone from linear inequalities to graphs. Now we have to go from graph to linear inequality. Now, hint, hint. This is a good problem. Pay attention. It might just show up on the quiz. Okay, so be aware of how to do this. Yes?
33 on page 172.
33, 172. So I am given some points. I am given the point -2, -3. -2, -3. I am given the point 1, 3. 1, 3. And I'm given the point 2, -2. 2, -2. And there are lines connecting these points. And inside this triangle, it is shaded. And so what I have to do here is I have to figure out the system of linear inequalities that make this graph. So I'm going from graph to linear inequalities. Am I making sense here? What we're trying to do is so what I'm going to do is this. If I can figure out the equations of the 3 boundary lines, I'll at least know what the triangle looks like, and then I can figure out how I have to shade that. Now you're allowed to ask questions here while we're going along, even though we're on the recorder. You know, if I'm talking and you don't know what I'm talking about, interrupt me. Okay. So I'm going to start. I'm going to turn this line here into a green line, so we can distinguish it. And you know, if it was a line, it would continue on forever. And I need to figure out the equation of that line. Well, I have a couple points, so I can start by figuring out the slope. I could probably count the slope on that one, but I'm not sure. I'm going to do it algebraically. So I need to figure out the slope. Well, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That would be 3 minus -3 divided by 1 minus -2, which is equal to -6 over -3, which is equal to +2. Is that right? Yeah, okay. And that looks about right. I have a slope of +2. I go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. That seems to be working. So I'm pretty happy with the slope of that line. But now I have to figure out what's the equation of that line. So if I have the slope and I have 2 points, well, point slope, right? So I can go y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So I'll go y minus, I don't know which one should I do. I'll do y minus 3 is equal to 2, my slope, minus x minus 1. So I have y minus 3 is equal to, I did something wrong. It's 2 times x minus 1. Nobody said anything. M times x minus 1 is equal to 2x minus 2. I'll add 3 to both sides. And I have y is equal to 2x plus 1. So now it's in slope-intercept form. And sure enough, I have my y-intercept is right there. Oh, sorry, that's my x-intercept. Slow down. There's my y-intercept at +1, slope of 2. I'm happy with the equation of that line. Are you happy with the equation of that line?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's just kind of write that one. Let's write it up here at the top. What was it? Y equals 2x plus 1. So I'm going to write it here. Y equals 2x plus 1. That is my In fact, I should probably write it in green. That is my green boundary line. Y equals 2x plus 1. Okay. So now, let's find this red boundary line. And notice, since all these lines are solid, they're not dashed, right? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, question.
For the green line, why couldn't we just leave it in point slope form?
Well, I think if we leave it in point slope form, we'll have a lot harder time turning it into an inequality, which is what we have to do. If you're just trying to find the boundary line, that would be fine. But we need to make it into an inequality, and I think it's much easier to make it into an inequality this way. That's why I put it into slope interval. Good question. Good question. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing with this red line. I'll find my slope, so I'll have 3 minus negative 2 over 1 minus 2. So I have, what's that, 5 over, it's a minus sign right there, 5 over minus 1. So I have a slope of negative 5. It looks like a negative slope to me, so I'm pretty happy with that. And I can kind of count, 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good slope. But now I need to make it into an equation. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go I'll pick that point on the top, y minus 3 is equal to negative 5 times x minus 1. So I have y minus 3 is equal to negative 5x plus 5. I'll add 3 to both sides, and I'll have y is equal to negative 5x plus 8. And sure enough, although I'm not really totally straight, I can see that might have an intercept up there of 8. It doesn't look like it because my lines aren't that straight, but yeah, are we acceptable? We're okay with that? Yes, we're okay with that. Okay. Pardon me? Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's write that inequality up here at the top in red. That'll be our red one. So I have y equals negative 5x plus 8. And now I have to do my third line. I'll make it in black. It's this one down here. Okay, so I'm going to follow the same process. I'm going to do my slope, negative 2 minus negative 3 over 2 minus negative 2. And that gives me 1 over 4. So there's my slope of that line, 1 over 4. And I have y minus y1 is equal to 1/4 x minus x1. So y minus negative 2 is equal to 1/4 x minus 2, minus regular 2, not minus 2. Minus 2. So I have y plus 2 is equal to 1/4 x minus 2. Am I good so far? Nope, I'm wrong. I got to multiply. I got to distribute my 1/4 to the negative 2. So 1/4 minus 1/2. Is that right? That's better. Thank you. So I have y is equal to 1/4 x minus 5/2. And that looks like about 5/2 there where I have my y-intercept. Right. And my slope looks like it's a positive 1/4. I go up 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that equation too. So I now have my 3 equations. So, room here. Okay. It's, the third one is y equals 1/4 x minus 5/2. Now everything would be hunky-dory finished if it was a system of linear equalities, but it's not. It's a system of linear inequalities. So I have to figure out, well, how am I going to get this so that it's shaded right there in the middle? Because I've been given that as my starting point. And I have to be able to make the inequalities work so that it gives me that kind of shading. Yes, Evan? Sure? Okay. So fortunately, none of my boundary lines are on 0, 0, which, as you know, is my favorite point. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to say, I want to look at my green line first, okay, right up there. I'm going to look at my green one. And I'm going to say, well, I'm just going to say y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. I'm just taking a stab in the dark. I only have two choices, right? It's either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. I don't have any other choices than that. And I know it's or equal to because the line is solid, not dashed. If it was dashed line, it would just be less than or greater than. But it's a solid line. So if you see a dashed line, remember you're going to not have the equal sign on as part of your inequality. So I'm just going to try this out, and I'm going to test out my point 0, 0. So 0 greater than or equal to 2 times 0 plus 1. 0 is greater than or equal to 1. Is that true? That is not true. Right? So since it's not true, it's telling me that my inequality sign is facing the wrong way, because I only have two choices, right? And this choice is the wrong choice. So now I can go back here to my first sentence right up, to my first equation up there. Now let's just change it. And I can say y is less than or equal to 2x plus 1. Because I know it's not greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. It's less than or equal to 2x plus 1. Does that make sense to everybody? You sure? So if I was shading in just the line, I would be shading in the part here. Okay, now I'm going to go to my next one. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Y equals 5x, negative 5x plus 8. That's my red line. Well, okay, I'll just take a stab at it. Y is less than or equal to negative 5x plus 8. I'm going to try my point 0, 0 again. 0 is less than or equal to negative 5 times 0 plus 8. 0 is less than or equal to 8. Oh, well, that's good. That worked out. Right? 0 is in fact less than 8. So I know that this is the right inequality for my red line, because it includes the point 0, 0. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my last one. I'm going to say y is greater than or equal to 1/4 x minus 5/2. I'll test my point 0, 0 to see if that works for this. 0 is greater than or equal to 1/4 times 0 minus 5/2. 0 is greater than or equal to negative 5/2. So since it is true, I know that this is the proper direction for my inequality sign. So I can change that here. I didn't change the red line. I need to change the red one, which was less than. Well, there it is. There's my system of inequalities. This is a system of inequalities that makes this graph.